Hello, welcome to BigRedJourneys. I am your host, Big Red, and I'm actually joined here with the co-owner and curator of Oddities Curiosities Expo, Michelle Cozzaglio. Hello, Michelle.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Thank you for letting me have an opportunity to talk to you for a few moments about the ONC Expo. I had a couple questions here to ask you real quick, but I figure some things that my viewers would like to know is, first of all, what kind of led the spark? What was the spark, the initial stimulus that said, I need to create something like an ONC Expo? What was it?
Yeah, so I grew up in Tulsa, Oklahoma, which is kind of a smaller city. I also grew up in punk, so I was always weird, colored hair, tattoos, like I was totally the weird kid. And there really wasn't anything in Tulsa that drew me as I was growing up, like, oh, I can go here, besides like a band, like a show or something like that. And so I was like, I want to create something cool here in Tulsa. I could have never dreamed that it would blow up into what it has today, but it really just came from being like, I grew up in a place that's not, when I was a kid, I didn't think it was that cool. Now I see how cool it is. But I wanted to do something cool there.
I like that story. That's pretty. So, what is your personal background? Were you like an artist that did like the odd stuff? Were you just a fan of odd stuff? Like, what was it that kind of started your whole down this dark and macabre path?
Yeah. So, I mean, like I said, growing up in punk, like I've always been weird. So, when my husband and I got together, almost 15 years ago at this point, he moved to Tulsa. We were booking bands, we had a punk festival, and we did an event called the Punk Rock Flea Market as well. So it was similar to Oddities, but it was all music based. And so I started off being really interested in organizing events anyway, and like booking artists and just like bringing people together that kind of didn't fit anywhere else. And so it started small, and then the idea of having Oddities like came about because I was like, oh well, what if we just had kind of this kind of like punk market, but it was only weird. Like it was only like dark art and wet specimens and taxidermy and stuff, which we didn't really have at that music style event. So it kind of came from just being like, you know what, let's see if we can dive in this way and get a bunch of weirdos together and see what happens. And it, like I said, just exploded in that way. But it came just from my own personal like love for being different.
And it fits naturally because you think about like the punk and that kind of vibe and scene and all that. People do think like if you wear black you must like gothic and stuff like that, but but that kind of actually goes on to the next one is like, do you remember kind of any particular first oddity that really hooked you in?
So I'm a collector of ephemera. So I collect postcards, old paper, old books, and like some people are like, oh, that's like super kind of like boring or something, like as far as like I'm not really a taxidermy collector or anything like that. Like I'm a huge animal lover, I'm vegan, I'm not anti it obviously, but I personally love old paper. And for an example, I collect postcards that are over 100 years old, and I love the history behind it. So for me it's all about the history. Like I can read a very, very personal look into someone else's life from whatever 100 years ago or more, and books and just papers and stuff like that. So I absolutely love it. It's so intriguing to read what people were doing back in 1901. I'm like they're just like sending a whole postcard across the country just to say like, hi, how are you doing?
I know that's true, because when I see some of these old-timey photos, I'm like, that's somebody who lived 100 years ago. What was like, is this a photo of their wedding? Is this a photo of somebody's funeral? You don't know. It's kind of like you kind of put yourself in there, like what would they've been living, like kind of like this freeze frame in time, right? That's what I like.
Exactly. It's really, really interesting to me, and that history is like what really kind of drew me into oddities, which is such a like wide term. It's like what does it mean? It means so much, but for me, it's like the history behind the piece is what drew me in the first place.
Perfect. It's kind of a similar story. Like myself personally, I'm really big into medical oddities. Originally, I was a pre-med, and that was going to be my route of medical. So I still love things of the medical tools that they have here, embalming tools, things of that nature.
Totally.
But I personally never really got into the odd expo kind of vibe culture until honestly a few years ago when I went to my first ONC Expo, and then I was like, wow, this is actually bigger than I thought. With that being said, are you surprised by how big it is? Like, are you still with all the alternative communities that come here, like does this surprise you, or are you like, no, this is what I expected?
Oh no, I'm definitely surprised. I mean, like when we started, the first show I ever had in Tulsa where I grew up, like around like 1,500 people came, and I was like, oh my gosh, like this is crazy. Like I could have never expected this many people would come. It was at this tiny spot. There was 20 vendors. Like it was so small. And from there, I was like, you know what? I want to do it somewhere else. So we did it in Denver. And because we had done our music event in Denver as well. So I was like, all right, let's travel with this. Let's do it in Denver. And 6,000 people came. And I was like, okay. And I've always known there's weirdos everywhere, but I was like, I don't really know, like, do they want to come and see this type of stuff? And it turns out they do. Turns out there are weirdos like literally all over the world.
Looking at the expo here in San Diego and LA, that's definitely the case. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. And so it really has provided a place for people to come and be themselves and be in a, just a safe space by people that are like them.
Very true.
Yeah,
very true. Very safe space. That's why I mentioned in my videos before that the ONC Expo is for everybody.
Yes.
We are a loving community. No room for hate, as you say on the website. No room for hate. So, over the years, I'm sure you've seen countless and incredible pieces of art and taxidermy and things of nature. Anything that maybe stands out that you've seen before? Maybe a personal item that you've owned, or?
That's such a hard question because I just see so many incredible items. I mean, I see it come and go through like the vendors throughout the halls. I see, things that I've gotten in my collection and then sold and replaced. I mean, for me, I look for really old books. I look for really old paper. I look for like, oh wow, I have like this really, really cool, amazing print from like the 1500s. Like that is really cool to me and something that I think about. And so everyone is different on what they find to be like this like grail piece or something like that. So yeah, hard question. I see amazing things, and it's quite the exciting.
I know. Well, there's a little hodgepodge. This is, I know, this is probably the largest expos we've had in recent times, right? How many do we have in LA? Over 150? Is that what I?
Yeah, we had in LA we had about 230 or so vendors there.
Okay.
Yeah, it is one of our bigger ones. They all average about 130 to 170.
And of course, if you've seen the channel, some of the vendors I do highlight, but I like that there's a huge variety. If you're into funerary items, if you're into taxidermy, witchcraft style vibe items like that, lotions and clothing, there's pretty much something for everybody here at this expo, isn't it, really?
Yeah, I mean, I find it to be really important to have something weird for everyone because I want like every demographic of person to be able to come here and be like, yeah, I found something cool and I didn't expect it. Like literally my mom and dad find something and they're like the most normal, like, like they can come and find something, like I guarantee everybody can.
So you didn't get the purple and blue hair from mom?
I was born this way, actually.
But so right behind me, we have the schedule of all the cities for 2026, not including Australia, which will be announced a little bit later.
Yes.
But so what is maybe a particular city that might be your favorite, and why is it San Diego?
I love all the cities equally. They're all amazing.
I didn't tell her to say San Diego.
I really look forward to going to each city because every city is like really special in its own way, honestly. The community in every city is the same, but different. And so it's really, really awesome to go back to each city like every year and add new cities and talk to people that I see every single year. Right. And then they come back. It's very special, honestly. Like each city has its own vibe and it's always good.
That is very true.
Yeah.
I'm about to say, if you aren't familiar with this type of culture, this community, very, very friendly and outgoing, because they're willing to help you with. They may look scary with some of the makeup that they wear, but honestly, no, they're the friendliest people you know. So congratulations for next year is in hand because that's going to mark 10 years of ONC Expo. That's a huge milestone for anybody in general, but is there any things like you're looking forward to for the next 10 years when it comes to ONC? Anything?
It's so hard because I think about that all the time. Like Tony and I talk about it all the time. We're like, what do we want in 10 more years? And I just think about how I just want to keep bettering this every year. Like, people, are you going to sell it? Are you going to stop doing it? I'm like, I love doing this. Like, this is my passion. And it truly brings me joy to come and see all of the artists that we work with, like, find success in this and be able to live their lives and quit their jobs and be able to be an artist full time, for example. Yeah. It's like the expo helps them live their creative dreams and it helps me also live mine and Tony live his. And it's super special and I'm very passionate about it. And so I just want to continue over the next 10 years to keep doing better and better with it and keep growing and keep supporting like people in our community because like without them this wouldn't exist. So it's like, I don't know, it's super awesome. I have no plans on stopping.
I hope not.
Taking over the world.
Coming to a city near you. And let's say, so when the day does eventually say, I'm going to hang up my spiky boots and I'm going to call it a day, what do you hope that people kind of remember about you or the ONC Expo when that day does come?
Yeah, I mean, I hope that people have a feeling of like being welcome in a place like this. And so I hope that people will remember that it's like, oh yeah, I went there and I felt really safe and I felt welcome and it helped me feel creative. I hear that all the time. People come and they are like, wow, I just feel so like creative coming in here. Like it's a very inspiring place. And I want people to that's what I want them to take from this and from what Tony and I have created, is that it's an inspiring, welcoming place for people to be who they truly are, authentically, without judgment.
That's good. Okay, so we're almost done here, but let's see what. I've always wondered this, as someone who probably more in the community than I am. Why do you think people are drawn to like the macabre, the dark, the gothic? What about it do you think is attractive for some people?
So I think like the curiosity of it all gets people, especially with our shows, like Oddities and Curiosities Expo. What am I going to see there?
Yeah.
What is inside?
Very attractive name.
Yeah, there's literally a guy walking by right now with like a giant like taxidermy mount.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's really fun to see what people get here.
Yep.
It's like you can find art, you can find stickers, you can find a giant taxidermy mount, you can, get some jewelry, you can get
an embalming kit, stuff, whatever,
It's all over the map, and I want it to stay that way. And so I think it's just like, I want people to wonder what they're going to see here. I think, like, even outside of the expo, people are like just curious of the weird, they're curious of the unusual and the unknown. And I think that's like just such a human thing, like everyone is curious. And
you see people, as we walk right now, you see people who look like, oh yeah, they've been into ONC expos for years and years. And some people look like they just got done with church and they're wearing their Sunday best. Like,
absolutely.
You would never think they would be at an expo like this.
Absolutely. And then you see them later walking out with like 2 giant taxidermy mounts and some art, and you truly never know. And so it's so funny. Like, there's just no point in judging anyone, because it's just like pointless.
Okay.
You don't know. Like, and you just let them come in, have a good time, and they leave, and they're like, hey, thanks for having this. And I'm like, cool, I'll see you next year.
and honestly, the price is right. For $15 for this expo, that's great price. Buy in advance, and you get the sideshow acts as well too, which is always fun.
Yeah.
So speaking more about the expo, what is something maybe about running the expo that most people probably never expect or know about, or like maybe some difficulties or tribulations about running an expo?
Yeah, it's hard. It's a lot, and a lot of it I think I do to myself, because like we do go to like 45 cities across the world, so I'm crazy. But it's a lot, and I really think you have to be passionate about it to find success. If this was ran by some corporate giant that did not care, then I think it would be very, very obvious.
Right.
And so because it's just Tony and I, 2 people who like deeply care about this and are invested in making this grow and being the best that it can be, that's why we found success. And I wanted to say that way. It's hard. I stay awake at night worrying about things like, oh my gosh, that venue, this or that. Like, it's a lot, and it has taken over my life. I've let it take over my life. But, I think like, I don't even have any tips. If you want to do something like this, you have to be willing to just completely dive in.
Go into it.
And make it your life, and, find a good balance with everything that you do. And, I have found that balance. I feel very grateful for that. But it's because I'm surrounded by so many, like, amazing people within this, that I can just be myself and have a bad day or have a good day, and I'll still get it done. So
very good.
Yeah.
And that probably kind of rolls into the next question, which would be my final one, is what advice would you give maybe somebody, an artist or somebody who's watching right now that says, I go to my local flea market, fair, vendor, and they said I want to be a part of ONC or maybe something similar. What's some advice you would give to them?
Dive in, apply, whether it's for our show or, another show that you may be interested in. I think artists are really hard on themselves. I am not as a creative artist in that way, but as a organizer, it can be really hard to like pass judgment on yourself. You're just like, oh, I'm not good enough, or I won't get in, or sometimes you might just not get in though, and that's okay. It's never personal or anything like that on my front or any other event's front, but do it, like dive in, because if you wait, the time is still going to pass.
Right.
So either dive in and try to make your dreams come true, live your creative dreams, or don't. But I highly recommend doing it. I highly recommend diving in and trying to be yourself fully, and who cares if people don't agree? Be yourself and try and see what happens.
Wonderful. Well, I want to thank you, Michelle, for taking the time to speak with us here. Of course, definitely, you got lots of opportunities to see the ONC Expo. Hopefully there's one coming to a town near you, or maybe you live in Australia and you want to, you know what, I might take a trip to Australia just to come visit too.
Hey, come on.
It's an excuse. But anyways, check it out. Their weekends, 2 days, 10 to 5 p.m. on the local time, $15 advance purchase for the tickets. Get your tickets today at odditycuriositiesexpo.com. And then also, one thing, if you are interested in any of the taxidermy classes, sign up for those ASAP, because those are pretty much the first things that always sell out.
They
before.
sell out.
Yeah, so I've learned from people. You want those, get in. But anyways, thank you again, Michelle, for everything.
Thank you so much, yeah.
And anyways, talk to you guys later.